I let people think what they want to think. I don't. I just think we're so forward in our community, and we all stand as one now. Love wins, and that's the bottom line. And no matter who you love, I feel like that's completely irrelevant to I celebrate the entertainment and the art of this industry. So like regardless if I identify as gay or straight, I celebrate and I want to be a part of this community, and that's what pageantry is about. Is people that want to be a part of this. So I leave that open in the air just because for my personal entertainment of what people say. That was the ongoing joke for Continental, and then the other ongoing joke or Continental or rumor or whatever you want to call them is like me and Skip are married and live together. So it's like what the things people think. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Well, it's funny. I was gonna say, what did Jim Flint think when you told him, and not only that, I mean, even if it was true or not, it's great that the Continental system welcomed you, regardless of whatever your pronoun and your sexuality was.
Right. From my experience with Continental, this comes from the judges and just how Continental was built. One thing that I admired about Continental is there were actually several straight boys in the contest this past year. I sat with two of them in my interview group. And the reason why I knew that is because, they say, tell a little about yourself. And, that was one of the cool things that two of them shared is they're like, I identify straight, I'm married to a woman, one had a baby. And just like, I thought that was so cool, because, this stands for the best of the best. This is kind of like the triathlon of pageantry. This is like the all-time award to win. So being able to, take sexuality out of this and not have like Mr. Gay Continental and it's just Mr. Continental, best of the best, elite of all elite. Like, I thought that was super special. And that's what I love about the system so much is it really is open to, whoever wants to come and compete and fight to be the best.
Well, that's the good thing about pageantry. I have been saying that for many years. Why did they put the gay in a lot of the pageants, whether it's where they were doing the Miss Gay this or that? And I kept saying, why did they do that? And it's a good thing that now they've taken a lot of that out and they can.
Yeah, they have. And I feel like I'm very educated on this. And, I grew up in pageantry, at the age of 8 years old. Like, I came from a small town, so you can only imagine, like, my mom, like, taught me, all about, the beautiful people in the world. And because I was so different and, at a little age, she didn't know if I was going to be gay, straight, trans, whatever. And she was like, it's the most colorful people in the world that make the rainbow, and that's what makes the world so special. I remember my mom telling me that at 8 years old, and I knew what a drag queen was at 8 years old. And my hero growing up actually was this man who was in community theater in this small town, and he was as gay as they could come, gay as a jaybird, did drag, and he was just my hero. And I remember looking up to him, wanting to be like him. And I even did drag at like 8, 10, 12, 13 years old. And what I loved about him, and I think that's why I looked up to him as a hero, is because he was so free. He was so himself, like in a world of like, we were in such a small town, you know what I mean? So for him to just, not try to fit that mold and be himself. So going back to where I feel like pageantry did put that gay title on it is, it's unfortunate to say there was a time in this lifetime that, gay wasn't accepted and they had to be in a box. And so by creating Miss Gay America, 50 years ago, they did that in a sense 50 years ago when it wasn't cool to be gay or okay to be gay, to to be proud of it. And it was like, I'm Miss Gay America. It's not Miss Gay America FI or anything like that. It was Miss Gay America. And same thing with the Miss Gay USA system, US of A now. Back in the day, it was USA. So yeah, I grew up knowing all about these different pageant systems. And like, I feel like they've kept the name just because it's part of their tradition, even though I feel like a lot of them are so, forward because, we're just so open as one community now. And that's like, I was talking to Tiffany Bonet, who won in 92. And she was like, just seeing the world today and seeing, the 50th anniversary of Miss Gay America, that contest just ended. She was like, I'm so proud to like see everything and see in the audience, you had like, like people come attend the pageant from all different walks of life. It wasn't just your LGBT community. There were people that just loved the art form and loved the craft and the entertainment of drag and supported it. And it was just a really cool experience all around.
Well, you know, it's great that you come from a dance background, and the fact that you grew up, you know, in small towns like Texas and a lot of other places in the United States. They focus on pageantry because that's all that's really big in a lot of those small towns. And it gives you a chance to focus because you're growing up with such, you know, strict backgrounds or religious backgrounds, or your family is just determined to succeed and see you succeed. So this is a good thing. Now, I want to talk about Continental for just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
What was the most difficult thing you had to prepare for?
You know, the hardest thing for me to prepare for. So I actually want to start like this. I did Continental 2 years ago when Desi won, and I just made it in the top 5. And I just did it on a whim. I did it as like a Hail Mary throw. I just gave up Entertainer of the Year. Skip always wanted me to do it. He was like, "You got to do Continental. You got to do it." I'm like, "I just gave this Entertainer of the Year up. I need a break." Da, da, da. He was like, "I got this. He'll, you know, take care of you. He'll make sure he'll cover what you need. Just come do it. Have fun. You know, get your feet wet." So I went in the mindset of get my feet wet. And I was second in interview by 1 point, and I won talent by 28 points, and I was in the top 5. So when those score sheets came out, I was like, oh my God, like I could do this. You know, they love my business platform. They love what I stand for in interview. They love what I want to bring to the system. They admire my talent. You know, a lot of these pageants, you know, it's kind of hit and miss with what I do because they're very like, you know, it's about the girl, you're lifting her, you don't lip sync, you don't this, you don't that, but Continental loved it. So the hardest thing preparing for this year was getting my confidence up to know that it was possible that I could win. Like I'm the one, like I can do this. And that was the hardest part. It was the mindset. It wasn't getting the formal wear or getting interview training or modeling training or swimsuits or creating my talent. It was just constantly being in the mindset of, you can win this, you can do it. And I want to tell a quick story because this was another thing, and I can't wait till I get to do this for someone. So Michael J. Valentine, I've known him since I was like 16 years old. Like, so he's been really a part of my life for a long time. And when I made that top 5, I remember we saw each other in October and right after, and he gave me his Continental trophy. And I remember it saying Mr. Continental 2016. And he was like, I want you to put this on a shelf in your room. And I want you to look at it. And I want you to envision, I want you to hold it because you need to get this feeling of this is possible. Like you can win this thing. And I remember I like thought he was crazy for doing that. And like, I've always meant to send it back to him. And I remember sending it back to him. Like in July, I brought it to his when he won All-American Gent. And I gave it back to him. He's like, well, you've not won yet. And I said, I know I'm going to win. Like, I'm already the winner. Like, I don't need to keep this thing anymore. And that was just the coolest thing about Continental is they're just such a family. Like, when you win and like, not even like winning, just when you're a part of that Continental system, like you are a family, like they're your brothers. Like they have a big saying of like, my brother's keeper. And like for Michael to do that, because, you know, when I was 16, I came on like a whim. I did so good. He was like, I want you to like have this and just, you know, give it back when you win yours, because I know you're going to win yours soon. Like it meant so much to me. And it really helped me like get ready for the process of like, you know, I'm like kind of like going around in circles with my words, but like, you know, formal wear and swimwear and talent, people get so caught up in that stuff. And the thing you really need to prep for is the win. You need to prep for, I can win this thing. It's all in here. Because everyone's formal wear looks the same. Everyone's swimwear looks the same. We all about do the same thing in talent. It's who's doing it with conviction and who's selling it and who's pushing it forward and who's reading on their shirt, I'm the one, pick me, I'm the winner. And, you know, that was the hardest part, but I was so fortunate to have mentors and friends from the Continental system that like were able to help me do so.
Well, you know, when I first watched you in the first pageant, you were very different in this pageant, and because you were very focused, and I could tell the difference in a major way. You shifted totally. And what else I liked and I know that's why the Continental system chose you, is because you weren't that cookie cutter person. That's like you said, a lot of them are doing the same thing in the same kind of format and everything, and you were very different. And that is sometimes the key to what winners, are made of, is that they're different and they do things outside of the box. And that's what I liked about your talent. I watched it. And
Well, thank you.
I thought it was fantastic. I did my research a little bit. I didn't want to dig too much, because when she sent me the format of what she wanted me to ask you, I said, well, I want to change this and change this because I want it to be more relaxed. If it's more relaxed, she had a very structured way here.
Right.
She wanted to focus on what I was just talking about, just the straight thing and all that. And I thought, no, we're going to talk about the system and your journey in the system. And you're doing perfect. So
Thank you.
I want to say that I like the fact that you were determined, and I could see that from the very get-go this year. Now, number one, how does it feel to be in that room? How does it feel?
I couldn't let my nerves get the best of me. And like a lot of people say, because Continental, one thing is Continental, my favorite system of all time.
Mm-hmm.
They're not contestant friendly for a reason, because this is a competition. We want the best of the best. This is not about you. This is about the brand of Continental. That's right. There's a lot of other competitions that, they give you all the time in the world and you're sitting there for 6-7 hours watching it. Like Continental is done well under 3 hours, done. Mm-hmm. So it's like boom, boom, boom. So they let the stress of that and the stress of being on that stage, because for the longest time, Continental was like the only system that was like actually on a stage. Now all these other brands are, rebuilding and, going to event centers and getting out of clubs and going to theaters. And I feel like that makes such a huge difference. But Continental is like known for that stage. And it's